The real climate change risks over the next 10 years. Who's telling you the truth about them? There is so much discussion about we've got 8, 10, or 12 years left before total climate disaster. There is no greater believer than me in the climate science believe. I accept the climate science. To say I believe in it is not even the right term because the climate science is what it is, regardless of belief. I accept climate science. I believe we have to act, and I believe we have to act now. I also think it's important to be accurate and sober rather than hyperbolic about the real risks over the next 10 years. So let's talk about what those are. There are some risks that are overblown, at least when thinking about the next decade. One of the most important risks of climate change over the next 10 years is the potential for more extreme weather events, and we have been seeing some of them. Heat waves, which are deadly, droughts, which can affect food production, floods, which can create and spread disease and cause all sorts of other problems. The negative impacts of the extreme weather events as a result of climate change are very real. They can damage infrastructure, they can destroy crops, they can lead to death and affect human health directly. That's a real risk, and it is now, and it is a real risk over the next decade. Another significant risk from climate change is the potential for sea level rise. That's a real risk that could have significant impacts on coastal communities already and over the next 10 years. Sea level goes up, it can displace people, it can cause damage to buildings and infrastructure. There are economic consequences as well as social consequences, and the unrest that would happen if large populations have to start moving because where they live is underwater. That's a real risk now and over the next 10 years. On the other hand, let me give you some examples of less important risks, particularly over the next 10 years. Food production is one. Often, our food production will be destroyed by climate change and soon is thrown out there. The best science we have right now does not actually point that way. Slight global warming could actually be beneficial for agriculture. Doesn't mean we want it, but it is what it is. It could be beneficial. Slightly higher temperatures and slightly higher carbon dioxide levels in the atmosphere could actually improve crop growth. And there are studies that have shown that under certain conditions, when you have a little bit higher temperature, a little more CO2, you can even increase crop yields, like for corn and wheat, but also you can increase the land area on Earth where food can be produced on average. So right now, in the future, you could have a feedback loop that maybe would point to it being bad for food production, but that's not actually one that is of concern right now, and that's the best science that we have. Another example would be the potential for slight changes in global temperature. Now, it's really important to understand what I'm saying and what I'm not saying here. A rise in global temperature can have negative impacts, but over the next 10 years, the changes from average global temperature are likely to be extraordinarily small or non-existent. Now, distinguish. Temperatures being slightly higher on average is different than acute weather events, including heat waves, which absolutely can be deadly. But just it being a little bit warmer on average is not actually the disaster over the next 10 years that some believe that it will be. Some folks are also concerned about the potential for climate change to cause widespread loss of biodiversity and accelerate the extinction of certain species. It is absolutely true that in a feedback loop, climate change can have negative impacts on biodiversity. The overall risks are considered very low right now compared to other human activities, like the fact that we're destroying habitats by clearing entire forests, as one example, and polluting the air. Okay, so the climate change component effect on biodiversity over the next 10 years, much smaller than a lot of these other things that we are doing. So what's the takeaway here? The takeaway is it would be best to have two things happen. Number one, we talk about the risks in the realist scientific terms. And if we have a list of 10 possible disasters, but 4 of them really aren't acute concerns right now. Let's focus on the 6 that are. And number 2, let's actually act on the ones that are the biggest risks, because that's going to have, it's sort of like the lowest hanging fruit in the impact that we have. If you're interested in this discussion, the book Precipice by Toby Ord discusses a lot of what I'm talking about in pretty significant detail. Make sure that you are subscribed on the YouTube channel. Help us get to 2 million YouTube subscribers. It could happen sooner than later with your help.